Hi, this is Paul Hoyt, the CEO of Ascending Harvest, and your host for today's daily Zoomcast, where we bring you a status update on the Ascending Harvest project. As you can see, the guy next to me is not Shane McKenna, who is my brilliant, genius, business partner, best buddy guy. This is another brilliant guy, best buddy. His name is Abraham Tinklepaugh, and he has been a sponsor of the Ascending Harvest project, for quite a number of weeks now, maybe even months now, and we're going to have a conversation with him. So say hello to the folks, Abraham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ascending Harvest Zoomcast.
Well said. And for those of you who may be attending or tuning in for the first time, Ascending Harvest is a brand new company. We have the incredible opportunity to leverage the genius, the inventive genius of Shane McKenna, who is the founder and CTO of the company, who's invented a way for people in dire circumstances in developing countries and refugee camps to grow their own food, to escape the cycle of poor nutrition and poverty by having the opportunity to grow their food with a very economical system we call human-powered hydroponics, launching a crowdfunding campaign 2 weeks from today on September the 19th, 2 weeks to go, and we hope to raise a significant amount of money to develop additional prototypes and go to Washington, D.C. and pursue lots of grant opportunities. We've had people tell us that this thing should really take off, and I want that to be your mindset too, that when the time comes in 2 weeks from today, or to even share the pre-launch campaign that's coming up in just the next few days, you'll please share with your networks because there is incredible power in networks, and strangely enough, not too much overlap in the networks at all. So be thinking about that. We're going to talk to you more about this campaign as we go on here for a little bit. But right now I want to introduce our special guest and my co-host for today's show, who is Abraham Tinklepaugh. Abraham, say hello to the folks. Again.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. It's really important that you're here with us. I can't tell you how gratified and inspired I am to be a part of this, Paul. So thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome. It's been an honor and a blessing to work with you these past few weeks. How long have we been working together now? Has it been a couple of months already?
I think we're probably pushing maybe a month and change.
Yeah.
I met Shane a while back on LinkedIn. So, and then Ascending Harvest gradually happened afterwards, shortly thereafter.
So how did you meet Shane again?
Shane and I, strangely enough, we met on LinkedIn.
Uh-huh.
We hadn't even met in person, but I noted him in an interaction with an associate of mine, and I noticed that he was a self-made engineer and inventor.
Uh-huh.
That really intrigued me. So I took a look at Chipping McKenna, and then I think it was Paul. He said something about they needed a social media intern on a project he was working on. And I wanted to be involved with him, so I thought that was a good backdoor to say hello and to introduce myself, and that's kind of how we met.
Oh, that's really interesting. That's fascinating. I thought maybe you met him at a networking event or something like that, but it was just you poking around on LinkedIn looking for interesting people in your backyard.
I was trawling for projects just, I think, the way he was looking for people to help him.
Uh-huh.
And then afterwards, we had this phenomenal meet, and he encouraged me to also join him at another networking event, which is where we met in person.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
So
So
we met for tea once. No, we met for tea, and then we went to the networking event after that.
well, I think that's really cool. You never know where you're going to meet somebody, and I feel blessed that you had the proactiveness and the inclination to reach out and connect with us, because you certainly have been a blessing to this team here at Ascending Harvest. So when you talked to Shane, you told me that you were kind of attracted to this inventor, artist, engineer project. How did you come to learn about the Ascending Harvest project? And
go ahead. Sorry, Paul. Didn't mean to interrupt.
I was going to say, and what inspired you to jump in and be a sponsor of the project and really come to be a member of the core team?
Wow. So many great questions, and I got to tell you all that I'm really bursting with enthusiasm to respond to this. Because, I wouldn't have put in my time, in addition to all the other stuff that I do. Ascending Harvest has become really important to me. I grew up the child of missionaries, and we spent a lot of time in Africa. And one of the things that sort of kindled my initial interest was Shane's. He told me a story about about his interaction with an outfit in Africa, a school. I think it's a primary or middle school in Africa. And that immediately spoke to my experience growing up, having been a missionary's kid in Africa.
Wow.
And we spent quite a bit of time there. And the things he started to talk about, the young women who are forced out of circumstance in regions of intense conflict. And those regions of intense conflict is where my young eyes were.
Wow.
Right? I saw Africans that didn't have enough money. I saw people in Rwanda with wheelbarrows full of useless money that they had to buy a loaf of bread. Okay? So when Shane started to talk to me about issues of empowerment, treating the hunger problem that he saw is not necessarily one of scarcity, but one of empowerment at the individual level. And me being who I am, empowerment at the individual level, this was very much what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something good with the powers I was given. My skills, in particular, love of language and communication, and I immediately wanted to be a part and contribute in some way.
That's really quite inspiring to me, and I didn't know that before. We've talked to each other hours and hours and hours over the last 6 weeks, but I didn't know before today that you had grown up an MK, a missionary's kid.
Oh yeah.
Where in Africa were you?
We spent time in East and West Africa. We did Europe, the UK, all over. But primarily East Africa and the Great Rift Valley. Saw bits of Somalia along the coast there in the Indian Ocean.
Wow. And how did you come back to the United States?
Well, that's a funny thing. Turns out Mom contracted Lyme's disease while we were overseas.
Yeah.
So their bosses, my parents, decided that maybe it wasn't such a great idea for us to travel so extensively.
Yeah.
So we returned stateside.
And when did you come back? How old were you?
Not too long ago. I was just getting ready for university. That didn't work out as well as I had hoped. But it just, because I had been in boarding schools, and I don't think mentally I was ready for college at that point. So I came out to Utah with them on their next appointment, and they were working in the Four Corners area to help the Navajos start a mission. So they were very actively involved in helping training the Navajo Episcopal clergy, is what they did.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I helped them move out this way, and then found University of Utah, and I also found CEU. I found Salt Lake Community College. All of those institutions, phenomenal places to learn.
That's awesome. So you had firsthand experience, living with and feeling the passion and the pain of people who this project is intended to support and help. So
absolutely,
seeing the hungry kids who you just wish that you could help in some way.
Yeah. It's, personally speaking, I find the issue of hunger almost as abrasive as it is intolerable. I mean, I may be naive. I may not be as politically aware as I should be, but I certainly know in a wealthy country like ours, I had the wealth and influence enough to go to college. Mm-hmm. The people we're trying to help, not only don't they have access to college like you and I would, the things that we take for granted, and I mean like everything from carpet to Walmart, honestly, to electricity. I saw people, like I said, with wheelbarrows full of useless money that they had to buy food if it was available, amid intense conflict. I mean, we're talking Idi Amin kind of conflict, right? Yeah. Mau caves, crazy stuff. And so it's really important to me to be able to use everything I have learned and to be side by side and to maybe go back to Africa and maybe do some good. you know, in a way that I have heretofore not been able to do.
Well, you know, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because we are looking for volunteers to go to Africa and help people learn how to use these systems and maybe even build the systems at some point in time.
Jambo, habari gani? Karibu sana.
What does that mean?
That's Swahili for welcome. Join us.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We have an emissary. I learned.
Africa. Yeah, man.
Oh, golly, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, now you're here in the United States, and you have been really a communications expert for some period of time. I don't know what how long you've been in your current business, but I know you do all kinds of things like copywriting and communication, press releases, public relations, video.
Sure.
And you seem to be well connected. Tell people who might be listening in, you know, what you're doing for our team and what you do for some of your other clients.
Well, one of the things that I like to say about what I do is that I'm a messaging designer. And what that really means is I do beyond the perfect description or the best word. I cultivate the story. I mean, I'm in love with the story and everything, Paul. And the story about ascending harvest. I mean, think about this. It's a harvest that's ascending. It's empowering people at the individual level. Families around the world who can't afford or don't have the ability to grow their own food. You know, we need a message that hits home with people that will resonate instantly. You know, because the need is so urgent. Right? Again, there's enough food and plenty in the whole world, but if you're living in a region amid conflict and you're forced to choose between a bowl of nutritiously worthless corn mush and, you know, growing your own food that you could in turn rely upon to create an income for yourself and your family, you know, to relieve you from those chains of waiting in aid lines, you know, if and when they exist. So my skill in this project and the way I help my clients is to distill the very most important elements of their message and to refine it in such a way that it's immediately digestible at the other end, you know, because, you know, the story needs to shine in and of itself. You don't need fluff, you know, unless fluff is your business, in which case we'll fluff it up. But, you know, I just feel like the most unadulterated, purest sense of message, you know, the true story, you know, the thing that's going to move you out of your chair to take some action. That's one of the things I do for the people I work with.
And you've certainly done that a tremendous amount for us. You know, here at this company and with other companies that I've run too, I really like to instill a culture of collaboration and polish.
Yeah.
You know, one person writes a document of some kind, and they pass that off around to other people on the team for their polish, for their ideas. I like to say, and this kind of hit me a few years ago, that, hey, God doesn't give all the good ideas to just one person, that you never know who's going to have that inspiration, that idea. But we do know that when we pass something off to you, Abraham, it's going to come back better, because you'll notice ways to change the words around and to make some suggestions that just make the things read better, to make the messaging clearer, simpler, and more powerful at the same time. So I honor you for the contributions you've made to our team. And I can quite imagine, you know, the contributions you've made to some of your other clients and will make to other clients too over time.
Well, anybody that's in need of it, that's the real thing. I mean, most people that I work with, a lot of startups, early stage people, especially Lit Outdoors, Luku Diamonds, a number of smaller companies. And it's fascinating to me. These people know their story best, you know, at the granular level, but sometimes a little refinement is needed. And then with a little refinement comes better idea or more stronger resonate message. And that's exciting to me. That thrills me.
Yeah. So let me see if I can run down a list here of the things that I think that you can do and you can add to it. And I know that you do public relations, writing press releases and other articles. I know that you help people craft emails. I know that you help them craft content for their website, because you've done all of that work with us and for us. I know that you're also gifted with videos. I've seen the brand awareness video that we currently have on our Facebook page at Ascending Harvest at facebook.com/Ascending Harvest is your work. And that was a collaborative effort with several of us, but that's primarily your work. I don't know, do you do any proofreading? Do you do any ghostwriting? Do you do any of that sort of stuff too?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Paul, I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but language, I mean, that's my superpower. I mean, that's the foundation for everything that I do. Because if I mean, for the first thing, you know, a story, first of all, how are you going to experience the story? You know, if it's verbs, if it's writing, your language needs to move. I'm a firm believer that, you know, verbs help, right? Anything but a verb is just going to sit there on the page.
Yeah.
You know, it has to have action and momentum. You know, and when it comes to video, I'm experimenting with video. I love to work with the medium, but I would say I'm an intermediate level video person. I'm better at editing and putting the montage together.
Yeah.
On our project, I was given footage to work with, and the fun part of it for me, as you said earlier, is to really put the message to it. You know, you take the disparate parts, you put them together, you smooth it all, you render it, you mix the sound, you make certain it's color graded correctly, and you make sure your titles are in place, that the transitions are smooth and natural, and the story gets told.
Yeah.
Everything else, you don't need it. You know, so I really, communication, I love it.
So, you know, it occurs to me that I just heard you speak Swahili a little bit.
Yeah.
How many languages do you speak?
I get by in a few. I'm pretty strong. French, Luo, got some Italian.
Yeah.
My German sucks, but you know, I've got the grammar.
So you said Italian, French, Swahili, English.
The other one it's Doluo. It's another East African language.
Huh.
But I'm not fluent in all of those. You know, I just have smatterings in conversational. I guess you would call it, conversational fluency.
Yeah. You know, and I wonder if it's that early childhood experience that you had with all of those different languages that kind of helped build this superpower that you have today of being able to communicate, you know, extremely well here in English.
Well, I'm fortunate that English is my native language.
Uh-huh.
But I've made it my own, you know. But for me, walking off a train, let's say in Kisumu or a city like Nairobi, I was the kind of kid that I threw a backpack on, left the parents at home, and went off on that adventure.
Wow.
And you know, communication, when you're the only American kid in a classroom, people will let you know that immediately, right? And so you have to learn to survive, and language is really, I feel strongly, and I'm not the first one to believe this, but once you understand the language, you know, other things just naturally fall into place. You know, you begin to act like the people whose language you are. You begin to think like them eventually. I think it's what it's called, you acculturate. You know? So, and without the understanding of language, how can you help share or tell their story?
Very well said. Well, you know, I would just reach out to anybody who listens to this and who knows Abraham to give him a shot. You know, he volunteered to help us with our project. We were amazed and delighted with his skill set and have really come to embrace him as a core member of the team here as we get closer and closer to the crowdfunding campaign. If anybody listening to this would have a need for copywriting skills, public relations skills, communication skills in some way, how would they get a hold of you, Abraham?
One of the best ways to reach out to me for consultation is on my website at Studio Word SLC, or I'm perfectly available to reach out to on LinkedIn.
Cool. Cool. And his name will be spelled out when we post this blog entry, so you'll see it. Abraham Tinklepaugh, Tinklepaugh, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, so reach out there. And you can also, by the way, reach him at abraham@ascendingharvest.com. We gave him an email address because he's like our public relations guy. So you can
Very proud of that.
and talk to him. And if you have any opportunities for public relations and have any thoughts about how we can put out articles, how we can put out messages in some way to spread news of this project. Abraham's the guy. Send him an email at abraham at ascendingharvest.com and let us know of those opportunities, because we got 2 weeks to go to spread the news about this incredible crowdfunding campaign, and we are excited to do that. And in the coming days, we're going to interview some more of our sponsors. We have 10 or 15 of them. I don't know if we've got time to interview all of them. Shane and I have some more topics that we want to talk about as well. You can go to ascendingharvest.com/blog and see a lot of the very significant interviews that we have done, Shane and I have done over the last 15 days, where we talk about the what and the why of the project. We talk about our crowdfunding campaign. We talk about intelligent grow media, human-powered hydroponics, the need that we see in the marketplace, the patenting process, all kinds of different things. I think when you listen to a few of those, you will deeply appreciate the level of genius and expertise that Shane brings to this team, and you'll certainly learn a lot more about this and understand our passion for this project. And the passion for the project is simply this: it's feeding hungry kids. It's empowering hungry kids. I can just imagine how wonderful it's going to feel for some child to reach over to the tomato plant that they helped grow and pluck off a ripe tomato and share it with their family for a lunch or a dinner, or a cucumber or an eggplant or squash or some other nutrient-dense vegetable that they've grown using their own power, to help feed themselves and their family. I'm really excited to see those pictures, to hear those stories, to watch those videos, and give that stuff to Abraham so he can communicate it to the world in ways that we cannot. So reach out to Abraham, reach out to us. Go to ascendingharvest.com, sign up for our website. When you do, sign up for our list. When you do, you'll get notices on the updates of the project. I just sent out emails this morning to a few thousand people who know me in the past, people who knew Shane, people who've gone to ascendingharvest.com and signed up for our list to keep them appraised of the project status. We're in the final 2 weeks now. We're in, the train is rolling out from the station. The airplane's rolling down the runway. We're getting ready to take off here in just a couple of weeks, and we're really excited. One of the things that we like to do every single Zoomcast that we do is give away a free human-powered hydroponic system.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody who has gone and signed up for our list. Somebody who is a friend of the project and who has signed up to be eligible for one of these prizes. So the way that we do that is I downloaded all of their names and put them in a spreadsheet and sorted them into random order. And now we're going to invite Abraham to give us a number somewhere between 1 in 10,000, and we're going to pick a winner. You can roll a dice. You can think about it. You can just pick a number out of the phone book. You can do whatever you want to do.
79.
79. Well, that makes it really easy to find the winner. Because that winner is the first one on the list, and that name is Khalil Virgo. Khalil Virgo is a young gentleman.
Who is it?
Khalil, Khalil, Virgo, a young man that I met a few years ago at a business conference when I think he was like 16 or 17. He was actually my roommate. He's from Jamaica. He lives in Florida. He's gone to college, and we've also enlisted his support to help be one of the social media guides for this campaign. So now he can have a system of his own, or maybe we'll even send it to somebody that he knows in Jamaica, because he's not a native United States guy. He's an import from Jamaica. Really a fine gentleman, a fine young man, somebody I was proud to room with at a business conference and get to know over the years. I'll send him an email and let him know that he won this particular prize. And I'm excited to do about that. He's a fine young man. There are lots and lots of fine people out there, precious people, wonderful people who don't look like me or talk like me at all. They have a different accent, they have a different heritage, they have a different skin color. They might be chocolate as to my, pale white, I haven't got enough sun in my life complexion. But they're wonderful, wonderful, beautiful people. And I learned that lesson the long way. It took me a long time to learn that before I was really able to see a person's eyes and look into their soul and understand the beauty of a person and understand that it wasn't skin deep. And it didn't have to do with their accent, and it didn't have to do with the clothes that they wore, didn't have to do with the money in their pocket or the color of their skin. It had to do with the love that was in their heart. And that's what inspires us to help the kids in Africa, the families in Africa, to, as I was talking to Abraham a little bit earlier today, kind of do what we can to help overcome what I would consider transgressions of our ancestors. Who colonized Africa and who have done, I would say, bad things and unkind things to people out of greed and out of just wanting to dominate and create an empire. Well, the good news is that we can make up for that. We are making up for that. We can lift people up all around the world. We have the power to do it. And ascendingharvest.com with our human-powered hydroponics is a wonderful, wonderful way for us to help give something to those people who so richly deserve it and so desperately need it. So I think that kind of brings us to a wrap today. Abraham, do you have any last words, comments? Go for it.
The only thing, Paul, is, again, thanks for, allowing me to be part of this. If anybody is looking in the world, in your purview, and you have a moment and you've thought, well, what can I do to make the world a better place? If you're feeling like you don't have a way to improve the world around you, the people I have the privilege of working with here at Ascending Harvest, they remind me of something I heard. Like, if you want something bad enough for the other guy or for the guy right next to you, that's a true measure of belief right there, right? That's commitment. And that's all I've ever felt since that's one of the most infectious things about being a part of Ascending Harvest, right? The idea is transformative, ascending, right? Not where we used to be, moving forward, right? So when you say, making up for what maybe our ancestors did, and my ancestors are actually Black and Hispanic. Mom Puerto Rican, dad was Black, right? Thing is, we're not giving back, we're doing better. I see it that way.
I love it. Thank you for that. Thank you for joining me today, Abraham. Shane will be back with me tomorrow. We'll be talking about, I'm not sure what we'll talk about tomorrow. We usually decide, a few minutes before we go on the air. Thank you for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. Go to ascendingharvest.com, sign up for our list, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Ascending Harvest.
Bye.